Hello guys, this is Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com, and we're here today with episode number 32 in our incredible new tutorial series where you're learning how to think like an engineer using the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. What I will need you to do is pour yourself a nice tall glass of ice cold coffee. That would be straight up black coffee, poured over ice, no sugar, no sweeteners, none needed. And as you're pouring your coffee, as always, I want to give a shout out to our friends over at Sunfounder. Sunfounder is actually sponsoring this most excellent series of video lessons. And in this class, we will be using the Sunfounder Elite Explorer Kit. Hopefully most of you guys already have your gear, but if you don't, look down in the description. There is a link over to Amazon and you can hop on over there and pick your kit up. And believe me, your life and my life are going to be a whole lot simpler if we are working on identical hardware. But enough of this shameless self-promotion. Let's jump in and talk about what I am going to teach you today. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my solution to the homework assignment that I gave you in lesson number 31. But I must first ask, were you successful? If you did the homework correctly, leave a comment down below. I am legend, double chest bump. And if you did not get the solution, leave a comment down below. I folded up like a cheap Walmart lawn chair. Guys, I'm really hoping that you were able to do it because it was a pretty straightforward extension of what I taught you in lesson number 31. We were measuring temperature. We were measuring it in degrees C, degrees F. We were measuring humidity. We were determining the heat index in Fahrenheit and centigrade, and we were printing it to the serial monitor. And what I just asked you to do was to add a button to your project. And what that button would do would be that the thing is just going to sit there. And if it gets a button push, then what it's going to do, it's going to scroll. It's going to scroll your data across the LED matrix on the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi. Okay, so hopefully you guys were able to do it, but never fear, I will take you through my solution here. So I will get out of your way. I will have a little sip of my goat juice. And then we are going to come over here and we'll start with our circuit, okay? Our circuit is pretty much what it was last time. We have the DHT11. The first pin goes to 5 volts. The second pin goes to pin 11. That's our data pin. And then we come down, we skip the third pin. The fourth pin comes to our ground rail here, our ground rail. And then we make the ground rail by connecting that whole row to G and D. Now what I've done is I've added my button. I made my button green because green means go. That is what? That is your go button. All right. You can see that I don't have an external pull-up resistor, so we're going to use the internal pull-up resistors on the board. The right leg goes to the ground rail and the left leg of the button goes over to pin 10. So now you're hooked up. So now we are going to come over and we are going to go to our code. We're going to go to our code view here. Let me pull this over a little bit so we get maximum use of our screen. Marvelous. Absolutely perfect. Now, I don't want to develop the whole program from scratch. So what we're going to do is we're going to go over to the most excellent www.toptechboy.com. And you are going to use this happy little search icon here, and you're going to search on something like using the Arduino Uno R4 Wi-Fi to measure temperature and to something like that. Okay, and you'll come to this page. You can snag here that code. That's not snagging. I guess I'm going to have to copy it the old-fashioned way. It should be working when you guys get here. But I'm going to copy all that code. Right mouse click copy. You should be able to get it by just clicking those two buttons. For some reason that didn't seem to work for me today, but we'll get to the bottom of that. It'll work by the time you get there. Okay, now we're going to come back to our Arduino. Let me just get this out of the way. And then I'm going to select everything. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to Control V. And now what do we expect? We expect now, let me go back where you can see our build, when we run this, what do we expect? We expect to see down here in the serial monitor, we should see it printing the temperature and the humidity and all of that sort of stuff. So let's see if that's going to work. It should, if the universe is in proper working order. Boom, there it is. So you see I've already created that long string. It's going to the serial monitor. Now, what two things do I need to do? I need to send it to the LED matrix, and I need to activate it with the button. Now, it's just almost all the code I'm going to have in a big if statement. And what I'm going to be looking for in that if statement is last time through the loop was the button down, and this time through the loop is the button up. And if it is, then I'm going to go through the code, and then that long string I'm going to put here on the matrix, and then it will sit and wait for another button push. So we don't have to do the toggle. All we have to do is have the button value and the old button value, and we don't have to worry about toggling because we're not toggling between scrolling and not scrolling. When we press the button once, we get one measurement, and it only measures when we tell it to measure. Sound good? I hope it does. I'm happy to see that the code is working. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to see if we can get this thing working. Well, we have set up here, we've set up our DHT11. And we're going to come down here, and now I've got to kind of get things set up for two things, the button and the LED matrix. So let's do the LED matrix first. I'm going to do an include. What are we going to include? Arduino graphics.h, like that. All right. Then we're also going to need to do a pound include the Arduino underscore LED underscore matrix dot H. I should also say, for the DHT11 to work, you have to install the libraries that I showed you in the last lesson. So if you're just jumping in this lesson, know that you've got to install the libraries. I showed you how to do that in the last lesson. Now we're going to create our matrix using the command Arduino LED LED matrix. And what am I going to call my matrix? I'm going to call it matrix. You can call yours whatever you want, like that. That looks good. Now we're probably going to need to set up a few things on the button. And so we'll come down here. After we do that string before the void setup, we're going to set up our button. So we're going to say the but pin is equal to pin 10, and then the but val is going to be equal to 1, and then the int old but val. What is this nonsense? But val old is equal to 1. Why, even though I'm reading that, why do I give it an initial value so the first time through the loop, the program doesn't crash because the variables have values associated with them? So sometimes if you're doing something with your variables, you need to give them an initial value. Okay, that's looking good, looking good. If we're going to use the matrix, we're going to have to start it. So we're going to start the DHT11. We're going to give it a little delay to let it wait. And then what are we going to need to do? We're going to need to do our pin mode of what? But pin. And it is an input, right? No, it is an input pull up. Because why? Because we are not using the external pull-up resistors. That will allow us to use the internal pull-up resistors. Now, if we're going to use the matrix, we're going to need to start it. So we will say matrix.begin, open, close, like that. So now we've kind of got the bookkeeping things, a lot of the bookkeeping things done for this to work. So that is good. Now we come down here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to read the but val. So I'm going to say but val is equal to digital read of what? But pin, like that. And because I always forget it, I'm going to come down to the very bottom of the code, and what I am going to say is that the but val old is equal to the but val, because if we don't do it now, we'll forget it, and then it won't work, and then you'll have to watch me for 30 minutes figuring out when it didn't work. So I like to, when I set up a breadcrumb, I like to go ahead and do all that. So now the button part should work. Now, what are we going to do? What are we going to do with that? Again, all I want to know is last time was the button down and this time is the button up. And if it is, then I'm going to do almost all the code inside of that if statement. So it it only measures, it only scrolls across the LED if what? If the button was pressed. Otherwise, it's just sitting there waiting for you to press the button and make the measurement and make the magic happen. Okay, so I have read that but val. I have read that button value, and then what am I going to come in and do? What I'm going to need after I read the but val, I'm going to need to do an if statement. If what? But val this time equal 0, and but val old equal 1, and then I am going to open my if statement, okay? And then almost everything is going to be inside that if statement. So I open the if statement here and I come all the way down to the bottom. And the only thing that I'm going to do outside that if statement is my breadcrumb. The but val old is equal to but val. And therefore it's sitting and reading the but val and comparing it to the old one and deciding whether or not to do the rest of the code. So everything almost in the whole program is going to go inside that if statement. Let's go ahead and see if we can run this. Now, it's not going to print anything on the display, but what it should do is it should print it there in the serial monitor. So let me download the code, okay, and then I'm going to clear the serial monitor. I think that should clear it. Okay, I'm going to come over to the serial monitor and clear it. Okay, that cleared it. Let's look at the output. Okay, it's done. Now, if I come back to the serial monitor, it's not doing anything. Why? Because the button hasn't been pressed. So before I do a whole lot else, I just want to see if my concept works. Now, when I press that button, I should get a measurement on the serial monitor. So all eyes on the serial monitor. Boom, look at that. Let's try it again. Boom, boom. Okay. And I think that I have it where it's going on the down. Yeah, it's going on the down. So all my logic is working. Now what do I just have to do? I have to put it, instead of only on the serial monitor, I need to get it to go across here. And I'm thinking that should be pretty straightforward. So we're going to come back up here. And after we do all the things, after we print the message, now what I want to do is I want to send it to the LED matrix. So I'm going to need to, excuse me, matrix.begin draw, like that. Okay. So I tell it I'm going to draw. Mr. Matrix, wake up. I'm going to draw. And what am I going to do? I'm going to do a matrix.text scroll speed. And what speed do I want to go? Let's go, I think I'm going to go 50. Yeah, let's go 75. We can tweak that in a minute if we don't like it, like that. Now what do I need to do? I need to set the font. What is this? Matrix.text font. Matrix.text font. And the font is going to be font underscore 5x7. Okay. I'm remembering my semicolons, I hope. Now we do a matrix.begin text, and we want to start at column 0, row 1, because we can't write to row 0 for some reason. And then I'm going to say turn the red on. And since we don't have a green, it'll be off. And since we don't have a blue, it will be off, like that. And now I'm going to matrix.println. matrix.println, I'm going to print the message like that. Now I'm going to do a matrix.end text. And what is that going to be? Remind it to scroll left, because that whole thing is not going to fit on the display. So we're going to run it by you so you can read. And now we are going to matrix.end draw like that. Man, I was coding like a madman there. And so what I am going to need to do is I'm going to need to run this. Let me do one little thing there. Okay. I think I'm going to come over here so you can see it better. And now I'm going to compile it. And if there's an error, I'll come back over to the other view. Let's see if we can even zoom in a little bit on this. Okay, that's looking good. All right, so now I'm going to run this thing, and I'm watching no errors. I got an error. Let's come back over here and see what our error was. Okay, where did I make a mistake? It doesn't like matrix text font. I spelled that wrong. It is like this text font. Okay, we're going to run it again. Have a little sip of our Go juice. I think it is going to run this time. We are going to come back over here to our full view. Now, why is nothing happened? Haven't pressed the Go button. All right, let's see what happens. We're going to press it and boom, temperature 28.5 degrees. See? 83.3 degrees F. Humidity is 72%. And now we have the heat index. And the heat index is 31.99 degree C and 89.58 degree F. Boom! Now, is that cool? Now, it's going to do it one time, and then after it does it, if we want it to make another measurement, we're going to have to press the button again. But if we don't press the button again, it's just going to sit there blank. Okay, it's just going to sit there blank. So if I look at it, you see that it is just sitting there. What is it doing? It's waiting for me to give the Go button. So the way that this thing would work is you could put it somewhere and it's not constantly drawing power, and it's not constantly, putting the light out. It's just if you say, I wonder what the temperature and weather conditions, the environmental conditions where I am, I press the Go button and it works. Boom, how cool is that? Okay, guys, I hope you all were able to do this because it was a straightforward extension of the things that I've already taught you. And what I'm trying to do in this class is I'm trying to reinforce learning, okay? I'm trying to take the things I've taught you in the past and get you to use them in the homework assignments. So you guys, please continue to post your homework assignments when you get them done. And that way I can look and see, am I going too fast, or am I going too slow, or am I boring you, or am I just going on about things that you don't care about? I need to see your homework assignments to see if you are really getting them or not. And so we have learned a lot of good stuff today. A lot of really, really good stuff have I taught you today. And I hope you had a little fun with this lesson as we were going along. Okay, so right now we'll be doing something a little different next week, and so I don't have a new homework assignment for you. And so what your homework assignment is to just catch up with what we've done so far. If you were not able to get this lesson done on your own, at least seeing me do it, now you should be able to do it. Guys, I hope that you are having as much fun taking this class as I am making it. As always, I want to give a great big thank you to you guys that are standing with me on Patreon. You are the ones that are keeping this great content coming. Your encouragement and your support keeps these videos coming. You can also help me by giving me a thumbs up and leaving a comment down below. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, and when you do, ring that bell so you'll get notifications when future lessons drop. And as always, most importantly, Share this video with other people because the world needs more people thinking critically, more people thinking like an engineer, and fewer people sitting around believing everything that they're told and watching silly cat videos. Paul McWhorter with TopTechBoy.com. I will talk to you guys later.